Good afternoon, Dan. How you doing?
Doing well, Robert. Good to be back for another round of earnings. That's right. It is earnings season. And of course, we can't overlook Tesla and its entire week. We should have a lot of content, a lot of videos coming out. Should be a very thrilling and exciting week for everybody as we're pretty much entering the heart of earnings season. And today we got Tesla on the list.
Yeah, earnings season is hot and heavy this week. We definitely have the big hitters plus some of the fan favorites out there. And we're starting off with Tesla, one of the big boys. And they just reported earnings about 45 minutes ago. If I just sneak into the after hours, does look like a little bit of a dip. Nothing serious. I do think that the option buyers, let's see, with only a 15-point move right now, I think the option buyers are probably getting hosed once again from an IV crush, but we'll see what happens. Let's take a deep dive into the numbers, though. What were your thoughts on the report here?
As well, yeah, keep in mind as well too. So just as so right now, it looks to me like there is some kind of IV crush. I just saw a little blip on the screen. We are in between the time frame recording this now between the actual earnings report and we have the conference call coming out. So something could drastically change as we're on the call. Something could maybe the call doesn't happen or whatever as we're doing this, and then after something happens. So we'll see. I'll monitor that as we're discussing the financials. But what did you think about the overall report from Tesla?
So we all knew that they were going to beat, I think, just based on their deliveries. We know that we get their deliveries early. So they did beat deliveries, 184,877. Obviously, with S and X refresh going on, you can see the S and X production was 0, but they did have a few leftover deliveries from the end of last year. So we knew that that was going to be good. So not that the quarter was bad or anything. I think the quarter overall was relatively good, but it wasn't a massive just crusher of an increase like last quarter. Like if you go over to deliveries, over here, it's about 40,000 increase. And then here, about 5,000. Again, there's a little bit of cyclical in auto. Year over year, obviously, is massive, 109% delivery wise, but you kind of expect that with Tesla and their growth. So I thought it was okay. It was good, but it wasn't phenomenal or anything.
Yeah, and the issue all the time I think that comes out with Tesla is the fact that it's Tesla. It is a heavily invested in stock. It's had just an unbelievable move, and it really sets the bar. If you think about it, and it's a little bit of a mature company right now. Obviously, it's been around. You don't have to worry about like is it going to be around in the next 10 years. I believe Tesla will be at this point. They did go through their stage, but as you're kind of pushing from that company that's able to push around the other companies that they're a little bit more limber to now almost being a relatively beast, especially in the category specifically that it's in, is now the gorilla in the room. So you have a little bit less flexibility, and people want these crazy numbers every single time where they have to go through their little stages. So the drop off makes sense because again, it's I think at the time of close today, what was it, 7:38 at the close today,
Mm-hmm.
and unless Tesla's going to come out with crazy news and just crazy earnings and just beat, which they have been doing for a long time, this is I think going to be more of a common factor, especially with us still being relatively highly valued for a company like Tesla. The one thing I was looking at, which I thought would be interesting, and I don't know if it played too much real relevance into the earnings report, but going forward, maybe it will, is their purchase of Bitcoin. So that was something that came out new during the quarter, and I was just kind of wondering how that would play into their overall I guess the overall picture of the company. And I believe Elon Musk since tweeted that Bitcoin will be just held as Bitcoin. It's not going to be transferred over in the company sheets at all. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch, as I think they're one of the largest companies or biggest. I think it was the biggest news hit for a company really that says, hey, we're accepting Bitcoin for Tesla, and that they did put a decent amount of money into Bitcoin as well.
Yeah, so I think it was 1.2 billion that came out of their cash and cash equivalents to purchase Bitcoin. I highlighted it right here. When you go to their actual balance sheet, take a deep dive, it shows up as digital assets net. So you can see 1.331. So 1.331 billion minus the 1.2 that they put in. They did make 100 and what is that, 31 million on their Bitcoin purchase. So I mean, that's kind of cool. And they are going to hold it. Looks like it has a totally new area here on their balance sheet that they will be holding Bitcoin in. So that's pretty interesting. One thing that I did see that I do like is their margins were back up. So that was something that we talked about last quarter, was their margin was down at about 24.1%. Their margin did, and again, this is gross margin. So their margin did go up 26.5, not to the high that it was back in Q3 of last year, but increased quarter over quarter. So I do like that fact on their report here.
Okay. And as far as the Model Y production, I mean, that looks like it looks like it's moving pretty steadily. They have, looks like in Shanghai, that one's it looks like they're at least sourcing a lot of the parts and products locally, which should help them save a little bit on the cost end of things. So I think it's just a normal steady growth. They do have their factories that are not complete as of yet, but again, as a forward-looking investor, if I have a longer-term time frame, I think this is a dip that you might be able to buy or at least piece into. I wouldn't go full heavy yet, and we'll see how the actual market opens from here. Again, Elon's going to be coming on the conference call soon. He has the ability to move a crowd. I guess is the best way to put it. And he could put out something saying, we have positive XYZ, or we're looking to do this or that. And if that's the case, Tesla has a opportunity to move from the time we record this in a positive direction. But if he doesn't come out and just kind of gives us the same numbers, I think we might see a little bit of a pullback on Tesla, a little bit further than even where it's at now.
Yeah, you never know what he could announce. I know there were some folks guessing that there might be a new announcement of a new vehicle or a new model, and that very well could happen on the conference call. Obviously, something like that's probably not just going to be in the deck for shareholders. It would be announced. So yeah, Elon could come out and say something else that could definitely rally the stock. But right now, again, I think it was a pretty good report. It just wasn't really great and nothing that blew people away. So EPS attributable to common stockholders, 93 cents, last quarter, 0.8. And I think that 80 cents was the estimate, or 83 cents. So they did have a little bit of a beat there. They are making money. They do have free cash flow, although it's a little bit lower because that CapEx is so large. And then their net cash, obviously, with purchasing some Bitcoin out there, was a little bit of a drawdown there. And then they talked about it. So overall, I think it was a good report, just nothing earth shattering. And it looks like for the most part, a lot of it was priced in. So we are right around the 100 simple moving average on the daily right now. You can see this light blue line is post market. What do you think about Tesla? Does it hold here? Just all being equal, if Elon doesn't announce anything, do we hold? Do we pull back? What do you think?
I can see a little bit further of a dip, just because I think, again, you are getting it. Tesla has this aurora about it where it's going to be the next big thing. Every quarter is going to be great and all that stuff. And I think you do see a little run up into earnings in going into something like Tesla. So I think we did see a little forward buying bullish direction on Tesla into the earnings. And the fact that it didn't just jump up $20, $30 a share, some of the weaker bulls might sell on the news. So I could see a little bit of a pullback, and then I'd probably be looking for some kind of opportunity to pull back in. I know my one key level, which I get in relatively small, is 696.26. We've had a couple of bounces around there. We have some good support. So I think that would be the key level. If it's hovering and holding around that point, I'm going to look to buy a little Tesla for myself, and then look for a little bit further pullback, because again, It's Tesla. I think it's gonna be around. I think it's a much further move, but I'm just piecing into it at this point. It's still relatively high, and I think there could be some weaker hands that are in there going to be shocked tomorrow, and maybe we see a little initial sell off at least.
Yeah, I really did like this weekly breakout of this pennant, and we closed up here. Then we threw in a little inside candle, so I did like that. And we are holding right now. So as long as we can hold this hammer back from April 19th and this low right around that 695, 696, 700, that area down there that you mentioned as well. If we hold that, I do think that we can eventually move higher. I don't think it's going to happen super quickly. As you also mentioned earlier, Tesla is maturing just a little bit. And so I think some of the movements might be a bit slower than what some people are used to before. But this candle from April 13th looks absolutely phenomenal. We did retest this retest gap, bounced nicely. So yeah, we will see what happens, barring anything else new and exciting on the conference call, which probably is starting right around now. Usually they're a little bit late to that because I think Elon operates on Mars time rather than Pacific Standard. But yeah, barring anything crazy on the conference call, I think it just looks like it's going to be a small gap down.
Yep. So longer term picture is Tesla holds. Are you buying for a long term perspective, or is it something that you think could come down a little bit further for you to get in if you did want to hold? And the other aspect of that question would be if you do have Tesla already in your position, as I know a lot of at least real life traders have Tesla in their position. I know a lot of strong bulls on it. What do you think? Are you looking to sell a little bit after earnings, or are you looking to hold or add for those guys?
So I was in a swing trade prior to earnings, and I did hold over earnings, and I immediately got the deck, and we were right around this area, and I went through a couple line items. I didn't think it was super exciting. I did dump a third of my shares at 730. If it pulls back down around the 700, I may take another shot at that third. And right now, I think my stop's at 660 or so. Depending on how we hold and gap tomorrow, I might trail that up a little bit. But longer term, I do think it can be bullish, but I think that there's going to be some continued volatility. I don't think that we just go straight up from here or anything like that. I know a lot of us wanted 500 back here. It got close. I think it was 519 after hours at one point. But I do think if there is good money to sell premium up into this 850 to 900 area, I think it's a great spot to sell some premium, to sell some calls if you want up there. And then probably anywhere between this 530 to 600 if someone wanted to sell puts and is willing to buy down there. I think that that's a great area. Maybe even some iron condor action on Tesla. There's going to be a huge implied volatility suck out tomorrow. I think they're pricing in a $60 move, and we're only getting 14. So probably not tomorrow, but maybe after a few days of consolidation, whatever direction that we end up picking, there might be a little bit more option volatility to sell. Otherwise, try to buy as low as possible, in my opinion.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. And again, unless Elon comes out and announces something or does something crazy, but for me, it doesn't. With the earnings report, it doesn't scream to me, "Hey, I have to be in this one." So for me, having a little patience, seeing what happens with the stock, trying to play the best. Like I said, 696.26 for whatever reason. I mean, I know what reason it's a fib I drew from on the weekly charts from a while ago. So that's a pyramid. That's level one for me. I'm looking to add the first level, so very small at that level if I get it. Otherwise, I'll be perfectly fine being patient because again, it was good earnings. There was nothing wrong with the company. There's no red flags. It's just that it is a stock that has a extremely high value at this point and kind of needs to mature and develop, live up to that expectation a little bit, or at least start being a little more consistent where expectation at least becomes a little bit more of a reality.
All right. Well, there you have it, everyone. That is our quick analysis on Tesla after earnings. Stay tuned this week for more earnings reports, as it's going to be a very busy week. So Dan and I are going to try to get more and more of these out to you all this week. And love life, live life, trade it. Don't forget to check out reallifetrading.com. We do have a few more mentor sessions open that start in the month of May. So you got about a week before those get going. Thanks so much, everyone.